Back here on Fox 13 Extra Innings, a live look inside T-Mobile Park as we count down the first pitch of Game 4 of the ALCS between the Mariners and Toronto Blue Jays. Just a typical fall night here in the Pacific Northwest, about 55 degrees expected, and we speculated last night whether the dense air and the roof open was going to limit the number of home runs. It certainly was not the case, with the Blue Jays hitting 4 home runs and the Mariners hitting 3 of their own. Julio Rodriguez in the first inning, and then, of course, followed by Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena in the 8th inning. Let's head on over to our Chris Swanson, who has more on the Blue Jays. We're looking to even up the series at 2 games apiece tonight. Chris?
Yeah, you guys were talking earlier about the Blue Jays offense and the success they've had in being 4-0 in this ballpark this season, Aaron. You said that right off the top of the show. An obvious reason for that has been decent pitching, but the bigger reason has been their bats. It's been really an anomaly because not a lot of teams, outside maybe the Houston Astros a few times, have been able to say that they've come into this park and hit very well. But that has been the case for Toronto, and one of those players that has done that is catcher Alejandro Kirk for the Blue Jays. We caught up with him about 15 minutes ago at his media session and asked him if there was any secret sauce to what works for the Blue Jays here at this park. Alejandro, this is not known as a hitter's ballpark, at least not traditionally, but you guys have played 4 games here this season. You've had double-digit hits in each of those games and scored quite a few runs. Is there something about this ballpark that just kind of works for your guys' lineup?
Como equipo, ¿hay algo en este parque que usted le trabaja? Porque obviamente tú sabes que esto no es conocido como un parque de bateadores, y todos los últimos juegos que hemos estado aquí pues se han dado más de 10 hits y jonrones también. ¿Algo que tú entiendes que como equipo ustedes pueden producir aquí?
Bueno, en realidad no sé qué sea, la verdad, pero estamos aquí y bueno, tratar de repetir lo que hemos hecho, salir a ganar el día de hoy y bueno.
Be honest with you, I don't know what to tell you, but the only thing is we're just going to go out there today again, try to repeat what we have done on the past games here, and then hopefully it works out again.
Well, if they repeat on it again tonight, then that's going to be bad news for the Mariners. They were 18 for 44 in the lineup last night. Also drew some walks. But if you go over the hit totals going back to the games back in May, it was 10 for 35 in the first meeting on May 9th, 10 for 37 the next night, 15 for 39 in the series finale that culminated in a Toronto sweep. And then, of course, I just mentioned 18 for 44 last night. That's 53 hits in 155 at-bats in 4 games. That's a .341 average for Toronto in this building this year. Let's see if tonight is a little bit different and the Mariner pitching can quiet them once again like they did in games 1 and 2 back in Toronto. Now, one advantage that the Mariners players could have that the Toronto players probably don't have, the Fox One app that you can get on your phone. We've been told to plug this shamelessly again and again, and there's good reason for it because you can watch the game on it on the Fox One app, your smart tablet, your phone, your smart TV. You can download that if you're not watching the game tonight on FS1 here at T-Mobile Park. I had to get that in. Aaron, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, I got the Fox One app on my phone right now also, and so if you're away from home, you can just pull it up on your app and watch the game on FS1 on your Fox One app. And you also get a 7-day free trial as well when you do so. So go ahead and download that Fox One app. Chris mentioned they've really felt comfortable, the Toronto Blue Jays here in Seattle. Going back to last season, they've now won 6 consecutive games here in Seattle. Then again, the Mariners feel comfortable in Toronto. They won 4 out of 5 in Toronto this season. And then going back a few years, winning both of those wild card playoff games north of the border as well. We're going to come back, have more from Jennifer Dowling, who's standing by at Victory Hall with the Mariners fans. That's as we count down the first pitch of Game 4 of the ALCS between the Mariners and Toronto Blue Jays here on Fox 13 Extra Innings. Just over an hour into our 2 hours of pregame coverage before Game 4 of the ALCS between the Mariners and Blue Jays, live here at T-Mobile Park here on Fox 13 Plus and also on the Fox local app. We mentioned before the break, be sure to download the Fox One app as well if you can see the game tonight on FS1 or on the Fox One app too. I'm Aaron Levine. Let's head on over to Victory Hall. That's where we find our Jennifer Dowling standing by. And as we get closer to first pitch at 5:33, we know there will be a lot more fans showing up across the street, around the building here at T-Mobile Park, and of course inside the ballpark once the gates open. Jennifer?
Hey, we're having a lot of fun here outside Victory Hall, and I've got a friendly match going on of cornhole between Blue Jays fans and Mariners fans. Look at the love.
Trust, I know, right? No losers here. Everyone's having fun.
Okay, who won this last match?
Seattle. Just this one, not tonight. Just this one.
Tonight too.
No.
Tonight as well.
No, 2-2 coming out tonight.
No.
Oh yeah.
We have 3-1 tonight.
Series,
We'll close it out tomorrow.
Here we go.
I can listen to these guys all day. This is a lot of fun. There's a lot of folks out here at Victory Hall coming together and just having a good time. Travis was telling me and Darwin were telling me they've been here before to the Victory Hall party, haven't you? And are you having a good time?
Great time. Yeah, it's a blast. Always a great time here. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, but you guys are going to go do a lap around the stadium here, right?
I think so.
Walking.
Yeah, check out, see what else is going on around here today and figure it out, yeah.
Okay, why do you think you'll beat the Mariners tonight?
Did you see last night?
No comment. All right, let's get over to the Mariners fans. The Mariners fans, why do you think that we're going to get our revenge today?
We got Castillo. We got the Rock on the mound. Last night was a little blip. We'll get things back on track. And the big dumper, he's coming. He's coming.
Did you see the score?
Yeah, it's going to be a good night. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
All right, these guys have been a lot of fun. So we're out here playing a little bit of friendly yard games. We've got the beanbag toss going on. There's a Connect 4 game down here. I was playing that yesterday. And folks are really having a good time. The managers here tell me that 2,000 to 3,000 people are coming through the gates here at Victory Hall each night before these home games. And I can tell you, it is a riot out here. It is a lot of fun. And these guys are a testament to that, of just how fun it can be. And even though there's Jay fans down here, it is a lot of fun and a lot of love. So why don't you guys just give me a go Jays before we close here?
Let's go, Jays.
Go Jays, go!
All right, now you give me a go Mariners.
Go Mariners.
Go Mariners.
All right, I got to go for the home team, even though we love our neighbors to the north. We're hoping the Mariners come out on top tonight, but we've had a lot of fun here. So come on down to Victory Hall if you'd like to enjoy some of this watch party. It's open to everyone, and this will be going basically all night, so you can get out down here, and you can either hang out with the Jays fans or the Mariners. Take your pick. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jennifer. Not so sure about the Go Jays chant just now. Then again, when we say we have the most extensive sports coverage in the Pacific Northwest, we know that it extends to cornhole and, I guess, Connect 4 and all the other yard games that Jennifer is covering over there as the fans fill up Victory Hall here in Soto across the street from T-Mobile Park, which, by the way, a couple of raindrops falling on us as the roof is open. We will keep an eye on that. There's no rain scheduled in the forecast, but this is, of course, Seattle in the Pacific Northwest, and anything is possible. We're going to hear more from the players as we lead up to Game 4 of the ALCS. We'll also check in with our AJ Janabel, who is hanging out with the fans, and I know that Lauren Donovan is somewhere in the city of Seattle after the Humpy Day rally they have going on at City Hall. They're going to be making the march down to the stadium at some point this afternoon as well. It's all coming up here on Fox 13 Extra Innings leading into Game 4 of the ALCS. Here as you take a live look inside T-Mobile Park as we are counting down the first pitch of Game 4 of the ALCS between the Mariners and Toronto Blue Jays. The Mariners still taking some hacks at it during batting practice. We'll see the Blue Jays take the batting cage here in just about an hour from now as we welcome you back live here on Fox 13 Extra Innings. Aaron Levine alongside Curtis Crabtree. Let's head on out to who I think is AJ Janabel. You know, AJ, about a year and a half, I thought you had really outdone yourself by putting on a salmon costume, running in the salmon race as the sockeye salmon. You didn't win that race, by the way, and I'll remind you of that fact, but you've outdone yourself even more right now.
I don't know this AJ. My name is Captain Triton, Captain M. Triton, but ahoy to whoever who is talking to me on the other side of this screen. I found this microphone right next to my pipe, and I figured I would take the opportunity to introduce myself. Now, we are here outside of T-Mobile Park, and could there be better October baseball weather, gray skies, and a chill to the air. Now, we just watched a beautiful scene come down Occidental Avenue South as the University of Washington marching band made their way up to the ballpark with Humpy as well as Mariner Moose. Now, we know that the M's saw some rough waters the other day, but we're very, very excited that the clear waters that are ahead of us, and so many fans standing here so a chance to see the chance for the M's to take the field again. Again, we knew there was rough waters yesterday, but it's clear sailing today. I'm curious, sir, how are you feeling about today's game?
Fantastic.
A fan as you are, a fan. Now here's Russ, who's chased us down the entire street. Russ, how are you feeling about today's game?
I love you, and I love everyone in the Mariner Nation.
And that's what it's all about, Russ. Thank you so much. All about the love. How are you doing, young fella? How are you feeling about today's game?
I'd like to introduce you.
I'm really excited, too. I'm really excited, too. Now, as you see people making their way, oh, don't show those folks on camera. Don't show. Sorry that you had to see such a thing. We will be out here for quite some time. Hey, look at this. There's a nice little dog. Who is this dog right here?
This is Sage.
Sage, are you a M's fan?
She sure is.
Well, we're excited. You have all types of folks out here rooting for the Mariners, all walks of life. You guys have a good one. I will send it back to you all. I'll leave this microphone where I found it.
Well, we very much appreciate that. Everything. I really am speechless. Aside from there not being an old sea shanty just now, I think he'd also, Mariners fans would love for him to make George Springer walk the plank at some point as well, given Springer's success in the postseason and just against the Mariners in general.
And probably the lingering Astros history with him as well, just for good measure.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully we'll get back to that old pirate. Forgot what his name was, but some point in the show as we continue to count down. Now less than 2.5 hours from first pitch of Game 4 of the ALCS. We will check back in with more of the players as we approach the beginning of tonight's game, and also catch up with Ethan McReynolds, who caught up with Brian Wu. What a great get that was, to get his reaction to being coming out of the bullpen the rest of the way, or going forward, were Dan Wilson's exact words. We'll hear from Brian Wu next on Fox 13 Extra Innings here on Fox 13 Plus and the Fox Local app. And the gates are officially open here at T-Mobile Park. The fans are starting to file in more than 2 hours before first pitch of Game 4 of the American League Championship Series. The Mariners still 2 wins away from punching their ticket to their first World Series in franchise history. A win tonight would be huge for them to take a 3-1 lead and be just 1 win away from that ultimate goal. I guess the ultimate goal then would be a championship, not just getting there, as we're joined by Curtis Crabtree. I'm Aaron Levine. Let's talk a little bit about Brian Wu. That was the big breaking news story at the top of our show, that he would not be starting Game 5 for the Mariners. Instead, Bryce Miller, your starter for Game 5, and that Brian Wu would be coming out of the bullpen, quote, going forward, according to manager Dan Wilson. What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, a little bit surprised, just because it seemed like everything was kind of tracking towards him starting Game 5 of this series. But ultimately, I think it is a big ask to ask a guy to jump into the starting rotation without a single rehab start, a couple of live BP innings, and that's about it in a rehab process, to then try to jump into Game 5, a pivotal game of a postseason series, and try to be that guy on a limited pitch count. It's a lot to ask. I mean, but to get Brian Wu back pitching in the series is something you certainly need to try to do if you're the Mariners, because over the final 2 months of the season, in the starts that he made, he never allowed more than 3 runs in any start. The last outing that he had in Houston before he left with that pectoral pectoral strain, 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs allowed against Houston, and that's when they were trying to push for the division title. Brian was terrific at that stretch of the season for them, as he had been all year long. He had that long run of stretch of starts where he was going six innings in every start that he made up until I think it was late August when he finally had that streak broken. So if you can get Brian back into the series, have him pitch some key mid innings for you, 5th, 6th innings, backstop Bryce Miller maybe in Game 5 a little bit, potentially be an option to, if George Kirby's your Game 7 starter out of a hypothetical discussion, maybe he's available for innings 3 and 4, and a start like that to come back on short rest. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Arguably, Brian Wu has been the Mariners' best starting pitcher throughout this season. Just a bad timed injury late in the regular season. If you were joining us on Good Day Seattle a few days ago when we were in Toronto, we actually had some of his live bullpen session, the final bullpen session he had, about 25 pitches before he was reevaluated, and now apparently the Mariners are going with him out of the bullpen going forward, something that he's never had to do during his Major League Baseball career. He was a reliever back in college at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, but then has really only come out of the bullpen one time, and that was in the All-Star game earlier this year. Dan Wilson alluded to that earlier today. Speaking of Brian Wu, we got his thoughts as he caught up with our Ethan McReynolds.
All right, I'm here with Brian Wu. Brian, Dan announcing today you'll be coming out of the pen. What's your comfort level with coming out of the bullpen? How much have you done that throughout your career?
Not professionally. I came out of the bullpen in college, so a little bit of experience, but I think do my best to kind of watch the other guys and see what their routines are like, build a little routine myself, and then just do everything I can to be prepared to come in and get outs.
Yeah, absolutely. And how much confidence do you have in this pitching staff? I mean, I'm sure it's been hard to watch, but they've been. How cool is it to have this deep of a pitching staff? Yeah, it makes it a lot easier when you have the arms that we do, the guys that we do. Definitely makes it easier for me not being able to play, but regardless, I still want to get in there, compete, contribute. But yeah, I've got all the faith in the world in our guys, so it makes it a lot easier. There have been multiple times throughout the season where this team has had their backs against the wall. You look back to the ALDS and losing Game 1, looking at Scooball Game 2, same thing Game 4 to Game 5. A big game here tonight at home, trying to get back on track. What are the characteristics of a team that's able to survive that many punches so frequently through the season? I think it's just the nature of the playoffs. Every team that you're going to face at this point is going to be a good team and has good players, good pitching. But yeah, I think it's just not getting too caught up in the moment, the scores, whatever the series is at. It's just keep playing our game. Don't get too swayed by big moments, homers, whatever it is. Just kind of keep playing our game. I think we've been playing good baseball and sticking to what we do best. And throughout this whole recovery process, what has your mentality been like? Has it shifted from a day-to-day when you're healthy and fully going, or are you just trying to keep everything the same for yourself? I've been trying to stay consistent as I can be. Rehab has its ups and downs, but just continually staying focused on just getting back, being healthy, and contributing in a positive way for the team. That's all you can really do. All right. Brian, thanks. Aaron, we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. And honestly, you sense the disappointment, also some of the frustration and the panic among the Mariners fan base, who were very hopeful that Brian Wu was going to get a start either in this series or potentially in the World Series as well. The way Dan Wilson made it sound, at least, is that Brian Wu was coming out of the bullpen going forward, that he would not be starting a game for the rest of the season. That includes the World Series if the Mariners get there.
Yeah, and I understand that frustration for sure, but you want him to be at his best self too, and trying to get him, there's not the time to get him built back up to be an 85-90 pitch kind of option right now. You don't know what the quality of his stuff is going to be in live action. When he hasn't had the adrenaline going of facing actual live hitters, there's probably still at least some concern about how the injury is going to hold up when he fully sends it for the first time, which you can only do so much in a bullpen. I'm sure he's trying to fully go after it, but that's can only get you so far. So I think they're trying to both balance the idea of getting him back so he can contribute for us, while also understanding we can't put him in a situation where we have to rely on him because we don't. It's an unknown quantity to us right now. So that's just kind of the reality of where Brian is in his situation coming back from the injury, and it means that this is probably the best path forward for him to try to contribute, help them, and give them something with his recovery process at the moment.
An incredibly unique situation for Brian Wu, but as manager Dan Wilson said earlier today, this is the playoffs, and sometimes you're asking players to do stuff that they're just not 100% comfortable with, and this is the situation that Brian Wu is now in. We appreciate him taking the time to catch up with our Ethan McReynolds to give his thoughts on coming out of the pen going forward for this team as they continue on in their playoff journey, hopefully to their first World Series in franchise history. Coming up after the break, we'll hear more from the players, including looking back at last night, Julio Rodriguez. You could hear it in his voice after a 13-4 Mariners loss in Game 3. What he thinks this team has to do to get a win in Game 4 and take the advantage back here in the ALCS. That's next here on Fox 13. Extra innings on Fox 13 Plus and the Fox Local app. Is Blue Jays manager John Schneider live from the podium at T-Mobile Park.
Part of it, and trying to build up every single day.
Go to Mike in the second row.
Nice move.
That was good.
Yeah.
Given that the Mariners have jumped on you in the first inning, now a couple of games in a row, and given Max's struggles in the first inning, what are you going to be keeping your eye on there, and how long or short might the leash be on Max?
I think what I'll be looking at, when me and Pete, you're looking at execution. I think any pitcher, I know Max's first innings have been, highlighted. I think any pitcher, you look at execution, and if that's good, you kind of keep moving on down the road, So in terms of how long, I don't know. We'll see. You know what I mean? I'll say that about every one of our starters. Or any one of our relievers, really. But I think you're looking for him to come out and execute at a really high rate from the jump. And I think if he does that, I think he'll be good, And when we were talking about, him starting, I think him starting gives him the best chance to be prepared to go execute. Having a normal routine, a normal warm-up, all that kind of stuff. I think this is his 500th career start, I think I read somewhere. So he's got a pretty good idea of what he's doing. So it really comes down to where he's putting his pitches.
And I guess for an official announcement, is it Gausman tomorrow?
Yeah, Gausman tomorrow.
And given that it's either going to be 2-2 or 3-1, either way, it's a huge game. It's his turn, but what is it about Gausman that makes him the guy for that?
That's why you line him up in Game 1. You know what I mean? I think you like his composure, you like the way he's throwing the ball, you like his, you like his stuff, you like his heartbeat in big situations. There's a lot to like about Kevin Gausman. He's pitched in huge games for us. He's been arguably one of our, if not our best pitchers, throughout the year in the second half. But I think he's just a guy that if you need a big outing from, he's shown that he can rise to the occasion.
Go to the back left corner, back to Shy.
John, further on Max, given that it's been 3.5 weeks since his last start and it's only been inter-team stuff that he's faced, how does that complicate your assessment of how he's executing and how much runway he gets during an outing?
It really doesn't, I think that, again, if we weren't comfortable with him being normal, he wouldn't have been on the roster. I've said it before, he's probably the most transparent, honest player I've ever been around, good, bad, or indifferent. So I think knowing how he's feeling physically gives you some confidence in that part of it too, and probably feeling a little bit better than he had, a month ago. So if it were probably a younger pitcher with a little bit less experience, maybe I think, you look into that a little bit. I think that Max lives for these moments, He tries to get himself excited for bullpens, you know what I mean? He tries to get himself excited for inter-squad games. I think that will kind of take care of itself tonight. And I think physically he's in a really good spot.
And is there anything physically that's changed that may allow him to execute more effectively, particularly against lefties who've done a fair bit of the damage against him this year?
Yeah, I think just feeling a little bit better to finish his pitches. You know, when he's got, you know, neck was bothering him a little bit. I think getting some time to calm that down, and then watching him throw. You know, watching him throw and getting feedback from him and saying, okay, what are you feeling differently, and hearing him articulate it. So, again, everyone understands splits, numbers, all that kind of stuff. If he's putting the ball where he wants, he's going to be all right.
Go Mike in the second row. I had it and I lost it. Oh, yeah. We had Kirk in here earlier, and he said...
And of many words.
Yes, indeed. He said that, speaking of that, Max does not like to be spoken to during his starts, which is weird to hear a catcher say, because usually, you know, if everybody else can't talk to him, the catcher can. How does that work for you and Pete?
I think more people talk to Max than what the public probably believes. There is a certain point of the time in the day, but we're probably getting close to it, to where, you know, you want to let him kind of get in his element. But there's some pretty good back and forth. You guys may not always see it. It may be in the tunnel, but there's always a little bit of back and forth between Pete, Max, Kirky. If Kirky's hitting, you know, Pete can deliver it. But I think the reason why he prepares the way he does is so when you're in the moment, you've really kind of covered all your bases. And if you need to deviate, you need to deviate. But he likes to kind of not worry about what's going on other than himself. I think that's the biggest thing, is he doesn't want to change the way he pitches based on the score, or get caught up in any kind of emotion that he's not trying to harness himself. I think that's what the general thing is with not talking to him, but there's plenty of conversations that happen in between.
And with the way you used the bullpen yesterday after Shane gave you 6, no Bassett, no Lauer, and none of the high leverage guys, does that set you up well for both today and tomorrow, given no off day?
I think so, yeah. You know, we got everyone available today, obviously. You got guys that can go multiple innings that are available, and you got high leverage guys that you can use today and tomorrow with an off day coming after that. So, yeah, I think Shane's outing, not only was it really good, but put us in a position that is good for us today.
That's Blue Jays manager John Schneider before tonight's Game 4 of the ALCS. Shane Bieber really doing yesterday what Bryce Miller did for the Mariners in Game 1 of the ALCS, and getting some innings in and giving the rest of his bullpen some rest.
Yeah, and that's why and the thing is, the Mariners still didn't have to use any of their leverage arms in the game last night either, because it got so far away from them. So I think that adds to how important tonight's game is, because everybody is at the ready and available that you would want to see in the baseball game for both teams going into the game tonight. So it really should be, even if the starters may not be quote-unquote the best on best kind of moment going into it, once you get into the later stages of the game, every team should have every option, resource available to them in the late innings to try to get the victory one way or another.
There's one thing for the Mariners to do tonight, and that is run Max Scherzer out of the game in the first or second inning and make the Blue Jays use up more of their arms in the bullpen. Let's take a look at the Blue Jays lineup today, because there's a significant change, and a significant change permanently going forward for this team.
Yeah, the big note for Toronto is that Anthony Santander is out of the lineup today. Mitch Bannon of The Athletic just reported here a little bit ago that the Blue Jays' plans are actually to take Santander off their postseason roster because of the injuries that he's been dealing with. He had back tightness that led to him being a scratch in Game 2. He missed more than 100 games during the middle of the regular season with the left shoulder injury that kept him out of the lineup. I think he's hitting sub 200 since for the season in general, due to some of the injuries he's kind of been dealing with. And so that he's out of the lineup, which has Isaiah Kiner-Falefa replacing his spot in the lineup, playing second base. Addison Barger moves from third base to the outfield. And so they've had to tweak things around a little bit with Alejandro Kirk and Dalton Varsho both bumping up the order a little bit as well.
What do you make of all this? I mean, there's always so much going on with the lineups, and do you think Ty France is a possibility?
I think Ty France is available to them to potentially replace Santander on the roster. I believe the way that that it works in the postseason is if you have to remove a player from the round that you're in, they also have to miss the following round. So if Santander is off the roster, he will not be eligible for the World Series for Toronto if they get to that point either. So it's a big decision they're having to make to go that direction, and they would obviously get to replace him on the roster, and Ty France might be the option there. It's a matter of the positional need and where they need to go with it. But Ty France, the former Mariner, would be one option they could turn to.
We are now just under 2 hours from first pitch in Game 4 of the ALCS. We're going to take a quick break, and John Morosi of MLB TV is going to join our Ethan McReynolds here on Fox 13 Extra Innings. That's live here from T-Mobile Park. That's next on Fox 13 Plus and the Fox Local app.